One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Thank God it's fucking Friday, man. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. We made it. We did make it. Good to see everybody, man. We got a lot to discuss. As always, it seems like every week it's getting, I guess, crazier and crazier in the aspect of just politics in general. And maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's the same crazy layout that it's always been. But it seems like it's just kind of just a lot going on, right? So I guess that's also kind of my issue since I'm in the media like I am and constantly watching it become what it is. It is gnarly. But we got top Trump officials to visit Gaza amid the hunger crisis and, of course, and I labeled it and more because we have too many things going on for me to go ahead and list on the title here. But we are going to be talking about Trump raising tariffs on Canada to 35%, by the way, extends deadline for Mexico as well. Then we're going to get into the top officials over there, Trump officials, to visit Gaza amid the hunger crisis. Then we're going to go into President Trump's reciprocal tariffs set to begin August 7th, as well as the Iranian state threat alert for U.S. and Europe. Our U.S. State Department came out with a joint statement over there. It's going to be kind of interesting to go over. I haven't read it yet, so we're going to find it out together. Millions brace for more flash floods as well. I do want to bring that to your guys' attention because it seems like any of these flash floods lately have been a lack of communication and knowledge that it's happening. So we got to just go ahead and talk about it. It just came out 47 minutes ago. And then we have, if we have enough time, we have White House on tariffs, Israel, Hamas war, and drug prices over there from, what's her name? Caroline Levitt. So anyways, before we get into all of it, man, make sure you guys come in and hit that like button. Helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. If you guys are brand new to the show, make sure you guys subscribe because it's also free. Please consider, though, however, this is the part that costs a little bit of money, but for $2.99 a month, starting at $2.99 a month, we're making sure not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but this is exactly the way that we get to speak. And we're 100% funded by you guys in the Breakfast Club. We make practically zero on advertising. So it's 100% funded by you guys, man. I appreciate that. Little side note here. Follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, and breaking news. It's a great place to hang out with me one-on-one. We also have the Discord. Make sure you guys join up on the Discord. Naomi's throwing that into the chat. If you guys watching this on the playback, make sure you guys check out the link in every description box of every video. We have the Discord link in there. Last but not least, every super chat, super sticker, every gifted membership signups, all these things are going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that you guys can donate to, and I will read them aloud. I have my email open, so if I see anything come through, I will absolutely shout you out, man. So good morning to everybody. We got Dragon Classy up in here as well as Naomi. Good morning to you. We got brother Steve Easy and Frank, my man. Good to see you as well. We got Prez. Good morning, kind sir. Good to see you. We got Mount High. Good morning, as well as Lappy, my man. Mount High says like button and left-handed to back all around. Yes, sir. You know the deal. We got Adriano as well. Good morning. Brother Ghost Eagle as well as Gary, man. Good morning to you guys. We got Sick Bastard as well. Good morning. It's Tiffany. Lance, good to see you. We got Rabbit of Chaos. Good morning to you as well. We got Carney's Ride. Nope, I apologize. I see a link there. Path Killer, my man. Much love, honor, and respect, my man. Appreciate you for hanging out with us. Got Motobomb as well. Appreciate you guys for all hanging out, man. All right, we appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get into the nuttiness of the Friday morning, man.
And welcome back here to Live Now.
Now, this happened in all transparency. Obviously, some of the news that we're talking about is from yesterday. This is one of them from yesterday. Just a little bit of transparency
here. From Fox, I'm Andrew Kraft. Thanks for being with us here. Let's now head to Washington, D.C. Live picture there at the White House. Well, as we know, President Trump's tariff deadline is tomorrow, where he'll be reinstituting these reciprocal tariffs on many nations worldwide. But remember, he has been striking deals with some of these nations. Most recently, yesterday, South Korea. We also got this from the White House moments ago. They say today the president signed an executive order increasing the tariff on Canada from 25% to 30%.
Yep, 25 to
35%, with the higher tariff set to go into effect at midnight tonight here.
Wow.
So in the meantime, Fox's Rebecca
So it's already implemented.
Has a little more on all of this as we are ramping up our coverage ahead of this deadline tomorrow and what the economic outlook and
winning the trade war using aggressive tariffs to strong-arm countries into better trading practices, all while avoiding major inflation.
Critics said that our tariffs would hurt the economy, but the data shows the exact opposite.
In 4 months, he secured trade deals with countries like the United Kingdom, Japan, and the EU, with South Korea being the latest announced on Wednesday.
Not yet, by the way, Naomi. The update essentially is if he gets granted bail, then Trump and his administration's obviously not going to do anything. But if he gets denied bail, then that's when he said he'll consider it. So that's the update.
This is a fundamental restructuring of the international trade environment in a way where the biggest market in the world has said, you're not going to cheat us anymore. We're going to have fair deals.
But the White House still has to defend the legality of Trump's tariffs in federal court.
What's up, Jack? Good morning.
Court ruled he overstepped his authority. The president wished his lawyers good luck with the big case today, writing, if our country was not able to protect itself by using tariffs against tariffs, we would be dead with no chance of survival or success. It's all happening just hours before the president's next tariff hike takes effect at midnight for countries without trade deals. One of those is Canada, who could be slapped with a 35% tariff if a
I sure the hell hope he doesn't either.
deal isn't made today.
We will agree a deal if there's one on the table that is in the best interest of Canadians.
As for Mexico, their 25% tariffs will stay in place after President Trump and Mexico's president agreed to a 90-day extension of trade talks. U.S. officials say they're also making
there's the extended deadline for Mexico.
Progress on trade talks with China, but they have until August 12th before their pause on tariffs expires. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
She has a very crackly microphone there. Very crackly. Anyways, go ahead and see what Trump said regarding this real quick. Go ahead and have him read it out.
Getting a reprieve here in the form of another 90-day delay.
What's up, Hardwire, my man? Good morning to you, and happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully you're all enjoying your morning.
Says, I've just concluded a telephone conversation with the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, which was very successful in that more and more we are getting to know and understand each other. The complexities of a deal with Mexico are somewhat different than other nations because of both the problems and assets of the border. We have agreed to extend for a 90-day period the exact same deal as we had for the last short period of time, namely that Mexico will continue to pay a 25% fentanyl tariff, 25% tariff on cars, and 50% tariff on steel, aluminum, and
so they put Mexico will continue to pay a 25% fentanyl tariff. Now, we're talking about on a actual medicinal level, not the street fentanyl that you guys are thinking of.
Saying, additionally, Mexico has agreed to immediately terminate its non-tariff trade barriers, of which there were many, he says. We will be talking to Mexico over the next 90 days with the goal of signing a trade deal somewhere within the 90-day period of time or longer. Saying present at the meeting were Vice President Vance, Treasury Secretary Besson, Secretary of State Rubio, Commerce Secretary Lutnick, and U.S. Trade Representative and Ambassador Jamieson Greer. Also, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and U.S. Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller, saying there will be continued cooperation on the border as it relates to all aspects of security, including drugs, drug distribution, and illegal immigration into the United States. Thank you for your attention to...
Okay, so they extended another 90 days on Mexico. So that's essentially what we got out of that. The tariff that was originally in place with Canada was 25%, and now it has jumped up to 35%. All right, so let's go ahead and now get into the ordeal with with Gaza. You know, the Trump officials going in to Gaza, supposedly. I'm going to guess that's Steve Witkoff or whatever. Let's go ahead and bring this up. And I actually have not seen this story, so we're going to watch this together.
Welcome back in Alive Now. I'm Austin
Figure it out.
Westfall, Alive.
What's
Look
up, Ron
at Gaza.
Roddy?
We continue
Down
to
there in Australia, my man. Good to see you, by the way.
monitor this camera. I've been keeping my eye on this camera all day. I have seen a blast occasionally, indicative of the IDF continuing its campaigns within the enclave at this hour. Dr. Alon Burstein is here. Him and I haven't had the chance to talk in about a week.
Ah, shit, Frank. You're calling me out, man. You're calling me out. I got you. I got my left-handed tobacco right here. I'm ready. This is the right time. This is the right time. Here we go. Cheers. All right. We got Rob's neighbor, by the way. Good to see you, by the way, as well as Ghost Eagle hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys.
Time. And my goodness, Alon,
this guy
happened in the past week.
Love this guy.
Let's start with Gaza. In fact, that's where most of our coverage is going to bring us today.
Good morning, Papa Penguin. We got our favorite analyst over here. I love this guy.
This is the first time I've had the chance to debrief with you since some countries have said that they're eyeballing recognizing a Palestinian state. That includes the United Kingdom and Canada. These countries have stipulations
in France
before they'd recognize the state, but it's important to note that they're doing this in response to horrific humanitarian conditions in Gaza. Alone, what has the U.S. said recently about Palestinian statehood? Has the U.S. said that it wants a pathway to a Palestinian state post-war? I remember the Biden administration, Anthony Blinken, saying that he wanted that. How about the Trump administration? What have they said?
Good to see you, Austin. A couple of things that are important to add to that. First of all, it's not just the United Kingdom and Canada; those are the most recent countries. But it's actually a wave that's brewing. It started with France that said that they were going to recognize.
Right, exactly. Start with France. Shit, those motherfuckers.
Palestinian state in the UN General Assembly in September. And France is a big country. It's a country. It's the Security Council. It's an important signal where the world is going. Since then, Malta has said that they're going to recognize the state of Palestine. Portugal has said they're going to recognize the state of Palestine. Other countries are considering it. Germany, a country that has supported Israel almost blindly for many years, has said it wants to work towards looking at a two-state solution. Now we have the United Kingdom and Canada. So it's...
I think you're really right about this, Papa Penguin. Whether it be right, wrong, indifferent, whatever moral side people stand on, I think you're right, though. The chance at a two-state solution again is gone and it isn't coming back anytime soon. I have to agree with that. Again, that's not coming from a moral standpoint or anything like that. I just think that's, as someone that analyzes this shit, I just don't think it's feasible.
Really a larger wave that is brewing in the world towards recognizing a Palestinian state. And I also will say, before I address what the United States has said about this, it's important to note that a lot of people say, okay, but so what? The General Assembly will eventually recognize the state of Palestine. It has in the past. It's recognized the state of Palestine in a lot of ways. So what? It actually does end up mattering, because the more states that end up recognizing the state of Palestine, that means that the state of Palestine, wherever we define its possible borders, whether it's the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, all of what is Israel now, whatever it is, most countries usually define it as the 67 borders of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. If you recognize that state as a legitimate state, then Israel's presence there is an occupying force. Up until now, Israel's presence in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip at different times has been seen as disputed territory. If Israel becomes officially an occupying force, that matters greatly in terms of international law, in terms of the Geneva Conventions, in terms of how Israel can be held accountable or not. So that's why that does matter, what the international trend is. Now, in terms of what the United States has been saying, the United States has wavered a lot about what's going to be the future of the Palestinians and the future.
Right. And we need to stay the fuck out of it.
Of Palestine and the future of the Gaza Strip under Trump. Like, the Biden administration was very clear it wants a two-state solution, whether it seems viable or not. That is the aspiration of the Biden administration. The Trump administration has, on the one hand, said that it wants to see the Palestinian people live in peace and security. On the other hand, it has also said that it wants to take over the Gaza Strip and own the Gaza Strip and build the Riviera of the Middle East, and the Palestinians would be exiled from the Gaza Strip. And again, has wavered if they'll be allowed to come back or not come back. Then it has said that it does want to recognize that Palestinians again, have the right to their land and then not. It's wavered. We don't have a clear perspective on what the United States is viewing with this. I will say that the Trump administration is viewing very
Gunpowder Nitro, my man. Good morning.
negatively the countries that are looking towards recognizing the state of Palestine. It has already said that it may punish Canada with toughening the negotiations on tariffs and all kinds of negotiations on trade agreements. But another thing that's very important that happened today, probably not coincidental, the State Department in the United States announced that it is sanctioning the Palestinian Authority and the Palestine Liberation Organization for violating a lot of treaties.
Wow.
Probably not a coincidence.
I mean, fuck, what are they going to do buy-wise? Like, who gives a shit if they're sanctioned or not? Like, those guys can't afford fucking food. Anyways, let's go ahead and move into
purposes,
this.
we're now talking about this area. Then the United Nations voted to partition this area in 1948, a Jewish state and an Arab state.
Man, we already know all that. I don't need the history lesson of how Israel became Israel. I don't need that. All right, let's go ahead and get this. We have the headline that's changing right here as Steve Witkoff, I guess, is going into Gaza. We're going to back this up so we can hear it all.
Accept this.
Steve Witkoff meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Witkoff is in the Middle East. Mike Huckabee is as well. He's the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Both Witkoff and Huckabee are expected to visit Gaza on Friday so that they can meet Palestinians and brief the president about humanitarian conditions within the enclave. Alone, what are Witkoff and Huckabee going to
What's up, Frederick Frame, my man? Good morning.
be able to see
Happy
in Gaza?
Friday.
Presumably, it would be tough to safely bring them to the areas struggling hardest, correct? Do you have that same question as me? What will they be able to see?
To be completely honest, I put no stock in the Palestinians that they're going to meet because, first of all, there's no such thing as a representative sample of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and what Palestinians have undergone. And second of all, because the...
Oh, you're telling me this guy over here doesn't trust Palestinians? No.
Oh, shit.
Stop the cap, yo.
Stop the cap.
You're right. I mean, yeah, I think we would all. I mean, I just don't. I don't sit there and agree with either side. You know what I mean?
The vast majority of Palestinians
I don't trust neither of them.
are living in three defined areas: in the Al Mawasi refugee camp, in southern Gaza, in the central camps of Deir al-Balah, and in the areas of Gaza City. The IDF almost does not go into that area because it is such a mess. So certainly Steve Witkoff is not going to go into that area. He's going to meet in other areas, and chances are he's going to come to those sites of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, to those distribution sites, and he's going to meet Palestinians who managed to get there. He's certainly going to hear about hardships. He's certainly going to hear about struggles. He's certainly going to hear about hunger. But also, he's not meeting the people in the most destitute level who don't even have access to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. So I don't put a lot of stock in the fact that they're going to meet Palestinians. The importance of them coming to the Gaza Strip specifically is, first of all, symbolic. It's symbolic. It's Trump showing,
Yes, it is symbolic.
I care actually what's happening, and I don't just want to hear what Israel is telling me. I don't just want to hear that Israel
I want
says there's
to
no
see.
salvation in Gaza. I'm sending my emissary. Steve Witkoff is Trump's man for everything. He's Trump's man for, I think, from Israel, he's traveling to Moscow.
Yep.
Or I
Yeah,
think
yeah. Not only for, I mean, he basically is the straight Middle East guy, but now there's a little bit of proxy there because Putin, Daddy Putin up there, handles all of Iran, and so dealing with the Middle East, you have to deal with different parts of Europe as well.
Moscow is going to be talking between Russia and Ukraine. He's Trump's man to everything. Sending him to Gaza is Trump saying, my man is coming to look on the ground. That is to some extent a signal also to Israel saying, I want to know what's going on and I want my man there. I don't want to just hear from you. And that's the symbolic reason of that. The second reason of that is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was really Steve Witkoff's vision. He was the one who tried to put this together as some sort of mechanism that would combine Israel's concerns and humanitarian needs, and security needs for the Gaza Strip alongside the humanitarian needs of the Palestinians. It has not delivered as much
What's up, brother KP? Good morning.
as he hoped, and I think that he personally probably wants to see what's happening there. So that's the symbolic reason of why he is going to the Gaza Strip specifically. The bigger question is what happened in that meeting. They're smiling, they're in those handshakes. I would place good money.
Okay, this is what I want to hear right here. This part. Let's see what the tweet is.
More thing before we go here. This is The Atlantic. They put out a piece recently called Hamas Actually Wants a Famine. They say within it here that Hamas wants a famine in Gaza, producing mass death from hunger as the group's final play, its last hope for ending the war in a way that advances its goals. My question for you alone is, how has hunger been used as a weapon in this war? And is Hamas the only one guilty of using it as a weapon?
So there's two different ways to look at it's a concept which is actually a legal concept of using starvation as a weapon of war. Hamas benefits to large extents from the suffering of Palestinians because this ends up as a boomerang to pressuring Israel. Hamas was negotiating with Israel the entrance of humanitarian aid as part of the hostage agreement. So the fact that humanitarian aid is now coming in, and again, there's already pictures of Hamas militants taking over some trucks, not all of them, but some trucks in the areas of Deir al-Balah and in Gaza City. To some extent, Hamas has been.
We did see that small video of two guys taking over. They're like two armed dudes that may not even be Hamas. I mean, I'm just saying, it could be their own people who just happen to have fucking guns. I don't know. From the video, you just see two guys getting up, taking over a truck, at gunpoint, basically. And in this huge crowd. Now, if it is Hamas, yes, I wouldn't be surprised, of course. I'm just saying that I don't fully know who the hell they're claiming it's Hamas, but it could be, a couple Palestinians that are just hungry and have guns. I don't know.
From the fact that there is starvation in Gaza, because then more pressure comes on Israel, and then Hamas may benefit from that politically and through materials on the ground. In turn, part of the indictments against Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant are on the charge of using starvation as a weapon of war, which is considered both a war crime and a crime against humanity. Because one of the things that Israel has done, it has said that because Hamas takes over the humanitarian aid that comes into the Gaza Strip, Israel is going to vastly curtail the amount of aid that comes in order to not fund Hamas and let it both feed its own troops as well as then use that in order to make money in the Gaza Strip. And it has also used this as a negotiation chip when it came to the different hostage agreements. Israel said,
yeah, this is a very touchy subject, but we're going to go ahead and move off of that and move into reciprocal tariffs set to begin August 7th. Let's bring it back home here for a sec so we understand what the hell is happening here. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
But again, it is a new hour here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Your time is now 7 a.m. on the East Coast and still 4 in the morning there on the West Coast. We're going to be diving into today's top stories as well. And of course, this is the biggest news coming into you as you're waking up this morning. President Trump's reciprocal tariffs are set to begin on August 7th. I'm going to put up this post that we have from Rapid Response 47. They're part of the Trump administration on their X account. They put a link out to an article saying they are further modifying the reciprocal tariff rates. And so what we do know is that dozens of countries have been facing tariffs and that new deadline now following President Trump's signature on an executive order. Today's deadline for countries to reach a deal had been pushed back to next Thursday, giving the government more time to adjust those rates. Ultimately, though, overnight, the president ordered 35% tariffs for Canada, while Mexico was given a 90-day...
That's well put there, Papa Penguin. Absolutely, I got to agree. And real quick, we got brother Chris Lestrange, my man, down there in South Africa. Great to see you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Friday afternoon for you. It's Friday morning for us, so good to see you, man.
Extension to reach a deal. Let's now check in with Fox's Doug Luzader. He has the very latest on these tariffs and what you can expect as you're waking up this morning.
The administration has been holding firm to this deadline over...
Jesus, they got his microphone peaking.
...night, but it looks like it may be another week before many of these tariffs kick in, even as some say they're already feeling the impact. At this New York City toy store, all sales are now final, closing after...
What's up, brother Straight Jacket? Good morning.
...more than 40 years. Done in, the owner says, primarily by online competition, but the threat of tariffs was too much.
The tariffs was what did me in. It was the final nail in the coffin.
At midnight, many of the long-delayed tariffs the president promised back in April were finally set to kick in, but implementation has been pushed back another week to deal with logistics.
And we're making a lot of deals. We're making deals for trillions and trillions. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it.
The president yesterday pointed to deals he's already made with big U.S. trading partners like Japan and the European Union.
No, I didn't see that there, Straight Jacket. But you know what's funny is we don't have it here in Alabama either, which was one of the big changes I saw from California to Alabama, for damn sure.
More to come. Mexico just got another delay on its tariffs, and the Treasury Secretary reported progress in talks with China.
I believe that we have the makings of a deal.
Skeptics say this will slow the economy and lead to inflation.
It's all talk, no substance. All hat, no cattle. And raises the costs for average Americans.
North of the border, we're already seeing an impact. At this Toronto store, you can still buy wine, but you'll walk right past a sign that says U.S. products are no longer available. And Canada got a hike in tariffs overnight because the president says the country hasn't done enough to cut down on drug trafficking. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
It does.
Thanks to Doug Luzader for that report showing you this.
You know, as much as people love hating on tariffs, that's one thing it does do is it does put pressure, and we're watching that actively happen from the other side, right? Where they can't even have, there's not enough room for them to make any type of profit selling those products, and puts pressure on them because I'm sure there's people that are reliant on those products up there in Canada, for instance, But yeah, it's these reciprocal tariffs are definitely brutal. And we watch the stock market change dramatically when these tariffs are, because there's a sense of unurgency, or not unurgency, it's not stable. It's unstable, essentially.
Live vantage point that we have there in Washington, D.C. at the White House. So ultimately, we do know that President Trump signed that executive order last night to impose the tariffs between 15 and 41% on goods shipped to the U.S. from more than 67 countries. This ratcheted up those tariff costs to the highest level in more than a century at this point. It is important to note, though, this morning that those tariff and those new duties won't go into effect until August 7th. This now is giving countries yet another window to try to negotiate them down. And so we're going to continue to follow this as we're getting some responses as well.
What's up, David? Good morning. Happy Friday to you.
Including Prime Minister Mark Carney putting out this statement on his X account a few hours ago in response to those new tariffs. I want to read this out apart for you, saying that President Trump has announced that the United States will increase its tariffs to 35% on those Canadian exports that are not covered under the Canada,
which we did, cover a little bit.
United States-Mexico agreement. While the Canadian
and that
government
was implemented at midnight last night.
And is disappointed by this action, we remain committed to this agreement, which is the world's second largest free trade agreement by trading volume. It does go on to say that while we will continue to negotiate with the United States on our trading relationship, the Canadian government is laser focused on what we can control, building Canada strong. The federal government, provinces, and territories are working together to cut down trade barriers to build one Canadian economy. We're developing a series of major nation-building projects with our provincial, territorial, and Indigenous partners. Together, these initiatives have the potential to catalyze over $500 billion in new investments for Canada.
Jesus.
Canadian
just cry more over there. Canadian Prime Minister Carney over there having quite a bit of emotional damage.
Emotional damage.
All right. We've heard enough of this tariff bullshit. We're gonna go ahead and move on into Iranian state threat alert for the United States and Europe. Let's go ahead and move on into that because I'm super interested in what the fuck is going on with this.
And we do have this statement as we stay in the Middle East.
And this is a joint statement from the U.S. State Department right here. So,
U.S. State Department, they are talking about this Iranian state threat. They say, quote, "We are united in our opposition to the attempts of Iranian intelligence services to kill, kidnap, and harass people in Europe and North America in clear violation of our sovereignty. These services are increasingly collaborating with international criminal organizations to target journalists, dissidents, Jewish citizens, and current and former officials in Europe and North America. This is unacceptable. We consider these types of attacks, regardless of the target, as violations of our sovereignty. We are committed to working together to prevent these actions from happening, and we call on the Iranian authorities to immediately put an end to such illegal activities in our respective territories," end quote. And that is, of course, a quote, as I mentioned, from the U.S. State Department. We do also have this post from the Bureau of Counterterrorism, as they say, "We are united in our opposition to the attempts of Iranian intelligence services to kill, kidnap, and harass people in Europe and North America, in
Did Iran actually put out like an actual for real, like, we're going to go kill anybody that's Jewish, anybody that's over there in Europe that supports? I haven't. That's insane.
Clear violation of our sovereignty. We know that the U.S. and 13 of their allies, including the U.K. and Canada, coming together to condemn what they call a surge in assassination, kidnapping, and harassment plots by Iranian intelligence services.
And kidnapping and harassment
is that are targeting people in North America and Europe. A lot to discuss there at the Middle East, so I do want to bring in David Dowd, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. David, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Pleasure to be on, Josh.
And first, I do want to talk to you about the statement that I was just reading there from the U.S. and 13 allies there, including Canada, the U.K., and a lot of other allies. What is the significance of that statement, and what are they really saying?
Well, the significance of it is that we're finally recognizing what the Iranian regime has done since its rise to power in the late 1970s and 1979. There were spate of assassination campaigns, not just in the Middle East, and not just in Iran,
Right.
but
When the Shah was overtaken.
dissidents, opposition figures.
And I mean, didn't the Shah like actually literally exit the country? Like he had to flee from the country. It was radical.
People that had fallen out of favor with the regime in France in the 1980s at the hands of Iranian agents, including through people that would become affiliated with what would later turn into Hezbollah. So this isn't anything new for the Iranian regime. This has continued throughout its history up until the present, and we're finally acknowledging it. We're finally acknowledging that the issue.
What's up, brother? Get some. Good morning.
When I say we, I mean the collective West is finally acknowledging it. The issue coming out of Iran is not just nuclear weapons, and the problems with Iran are not just confined to the Middle East. They are targeting.
I didn't know they took hostages like that. That's crazy. So if you guys are little context, this is back in 1979.
People, be they Iranian citizens on our soil, or our own citizens or any other citizens, they're targeting people on our soil, and this is reaching our part of the world. This isn't just confined to the Middle East. This isn't just a problem. If we turn a blind eye to it, like some of us would like to do, then it'll just go away.
As far as the Iranian government,
as well as 13, my man, good morning.
Have we heard any kind of reaction to this statement? I imagine the answer is probably no for the most part. And do we expect that we are going to get some kind of big reaction to this?
Well, I mean, they've actually denied it, but of course they are. I mean, what are they going to do? Admit that they've plotted to assassinate or target or harass people on Western soil? That would obviously put them on a direct collision course with Western countries. Deny is what they've always done, despite the fact that there's incontrovertible evidence in many cases to Iran's connection to a lot
Charles Darwin down there and from down under, my man. Good to see you.
These actions.
Happy Saturday morning.
There's obviously, as I mentioned, a lot to discuss here. So how widespread, would you say that these threats really are when you look at them? Because they listed a lot of different folks there, including journalists and other officials. We know that threats have been made against President Trump, not just once by Iran, but many times.
If I'm not mistaken, there's actually an individual in custody in the Southern District of New York for such a plot against President Trump. And my colleague, Behna Ben Taleblu, has actually written a piece on these assassination attempts or these assassination threats, if anyone's interested. But they're widespread in both time and space. Like I said, they go back to 1979, attacks on dissidents, either from direct Iranian agents or from affiliates that are affiliated with their terrorist groups. They've targeted a variety of people, the U.S. president, right? There are threats against Mike Pompeo and other former Trump administration officials from the first Trump administration. There are threats against Iranian dissidents, Iran international journalists in the UK, Masih Alinejad, in New York. So they target a broad spread of people. These threats have continued over time. And
I want to see that shit in writing, though.
Orders. They just do it more subtly and try to.
And now he's going to talk about Huckabee and Steve Witkoff visiting Gaza.
Create an element of plausible deniability. But thankfully, with this statement, the ground under their feet seems to be shrinking.
I do want to pop this up on your screen right here because we know that Ambassador Mike Huckabee, I mentioned this kind of off the top.
Here it is. Look at this. Ambassador Mike Huckabee puts out, went into Gaza today and observed humanitarian food program by U.S. Launched GHF. I don't know what that stands for. Hamas hates GHF because it gets food to people without it being looted by Hamas. Over 100 million meals served in 2 months.
He did go into Gaza today, and he says, observed humanitarian food program by the U.S. that launched GHF. Hamas hates GHF because it gets food to people without it being looted by Hamas. Over 100 million meals served in 2 months. So again, Huckabee, as well as Steve Witkoff, the U.S. envoy to the Middle East, are there in Gaza. How significant is a visit like that? Because we know that Gaza can be very dangerous, especially right now, especially when you're talking about Hamas.
Look, I mean, I think it's significant in that Ambassador Huckabee and Mr. Witkoff can go see the operations themselves and how they're proceeding, and the distribution mechanism to these hungry Palestinians who deserve this aid. In terms of danger, yes, Gaza is dangerous. I think these visits were announced ahead of time. I doubt Hamas would have targeted a U.S. ambassador or the U.S.
Yeah, that's actually one area of Gaza that actually looks somewhat decent.
Envoy, especially one with whom they're negotiated or engaged in negotiations, at least deliberately, that would have put them on a severe collision course with the United States. And I think right now what they want is to leverage whatever they can with the U.S. administration to stop Israel's campaign in Gaza. That would work at cross ends with that purpose. There's always the risk of unintended consequences, right? As a low-ranking Hamas member who doesn't know what Ambassador Huckabee or Mr. Witkoff look like, attack them as they have attacked, GHS sites.
Yes, real quick, make sure you guys hit the like button, man. It helps out the show immensely. But let me go ahead and put you guys in a trance a little bit.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
Shit. He said it. I didn't.
In the past, I think this also is meant to lend credence and legitimacy to GHF operations. Right, these have come under severe criticism from aid groups, particularly those involved with the United Nations. And if we're being honest, look, the GHF, I think their heart is absolutely in the right place. I think they're trying to do the right thing. I think their mission of not being neutral. Because a lot of these organizations have this principle of neutrality when it comes to aid distribution, not vis-a-vis Gazans. Obviously, they have to be neutral vis-a-vis Gazans, but vis-a-vis Hamas, where these aid organizations, the traditional aid organizations, in a misguided attempt to help the people of Gaza, end up cooperating with Hamas to some degree or another, just like the ICRC cooperates with Hamas to some degree or another, because they are the local authority. GHF, its mission is to exclude Hamas from that process, to delegitimize Hamas in the process of getting food to Gazans.
What's GHF? Is that? I don't know what that stands for.
At the same time, it's a new organization, and delivering humanitarian aid in
a new organization,
combat zone, an active combat zone, especially one like the Gaza
Strip.
Quick,
look, see how we totally took over your guys' minds right there, and we forced you guys to donate there. That was awesome. Glare 1%er, by the way, comes in with the $5 saying, I kept hearing a voice in my head. My man, thank you for making it rain for us, my man. Very much appreciate that. And that's right, Straight Jacket. He sends in $5 for dues on Cash App. My man, I very much appreciate that. Thank you for your contributions. He says for the dues, man. A dues paid, cuh. I very much appreciate that. All right, real quick. Path Killer gives us the answer, GHF. Sorry of my ignorance, by the way. But he says GHF is Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Got you. Appreciate that. Thank you for answering that.
Is one of the most complicated missions possible. Add to that, you have an enemy, Hamas, that is embedded among the civilian population that has an interest, because of GHF's exclusion of the organization, in foiling these attempts. So GHF is working on a steep learning curve, and there have been mistakes, but their heart is absolutely in the right place. And I think what all these other aid organizations must do is, rather than condemn GHF, perhaps assist them and emulate them in excluding Hamas from the distribution process, or from any part of the process of getting aid to.
Well, of course, that's the whole point, is keeping it out of their fucking hands, right? But anyways, we don't need to hear him go on any further about this, I don't think. We're going to go ahead and go into, just an hour ago, millions, this is what this claim is millions braced for more flash floods. One of the big reasons why I want to bring this up is because there has been a lack of knowledge regarding these flash floods and when they're happening. And unfortunately, we saw that happen in Texas pretty hardcore. We saw that happen in North Carolina. We saw this in New Mexico. It's totally unfortunate, but it usually comes down to a lack of communication and knowing when this is going to happen. So information is key, right? So I wanted to go ahead and bring this up, and we'll go ahead and talk about it for a minute. Bam. All right, we're good.
Because we know weeks ago we saw the situation unfold over there in Kerrville, Texas, with the flash flooding that killed more than 100 people. And we're also keeping an eye on the potential for more flash flooding here this weekend. That is along the East Coast. So we do have team coverage here. Asher Red, as you can see with Fox News, is over in Kerrville, Texas. But I do want to start our coverage here with Dane Froney over at Fox Weather.
Yo, brother, so loud, my man. Good to see you, by the way. Good to see you, man. Always
She is live over in Wilmington, North Carolina, with a look at what we can expect here.
Wilmington, North Carolina. Listen, many boats around the United States, and also probably the world too, but many boats have been made over there in Wilmington, man. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this part of the country has, first of all, been dealing with so much heat. That heat dome has just been persistent for the past couple of weeks, it feels like. Temperatures in the upper 80s, 90s, the heat indices in the triple digits. So as this rain starts to come in, it's a little bit of a relief when it comes to temperatures, but now we have to deal with the potential for some flash flooding. So you can see right now, a little bit on the gloomy side of things as we start off this morning. This is just the start of what could be some serious flash flooding potential.
That's right, boats and hose. Shit. Remember, guys, this is just as of an hour ago.
Right now, we're at a level 2 out of 4 for flash flooding here in North Carolina, but this will persist throughout the entire weekend. Now, earlier this morning, we saw some intense downpours. I mean, it only lasted maybe about 30 minutes, but those rain rates were no joke. And that's all thanks to the moisture that we have in the atmosphere. We have this tropical moisture that's been building off the Atlantic. And so when we start to get storms and all of this rain, it really packs a punch. It's no joke. When it rains here, it pours. So I do want to point out a couple of things. Looking outside right now, this is the river, and currently it's on the calmer side, but you can see those light drizzles. We've been seeing a lot of debris kind of floating along the river as well, and this is where we can see quite a bit of flooding coming into the area. This is a lower ground for this part of the state. And it's right on the coast. And on top of this, it's a little bit on the hillier side of things as well, especially on those roads. So very easy to get a lot of that water rushing down the roads, which can cause some serious damage as well as some flash flooding potential. So those are some of the things that we're...
This specific to Wilmington, North Carolina right now?
Watching out for with these systems that are going to start to roll in. So more on the forecast. So for today, we still see a couple of isolated showers and storms popping up throughout North Carolina as well as into South Carolina. Into the afternoon, the real action begins. So bringing it back to that heat that we were just talking about.
So this afternoon is going to get action-packed for flash flooding.
We have the heat and we have the high moisture content as well. And all of that is going to help spark up these storms as the cold front starts to move farther and farther south. That was just impacting the Northeast just a day ago. And as that starts to move south, it starts to run out of steam and it kind of stalls right along the Carolinas as well as into Florida. And as this stalls, well, the showers and storms, they just keep on firing up all weekend long. So we could see rain up to 2 to 3 inches in most areas, but there will be isolated.
Damn. And I mean, I saw it on my weather report. I mean, I saw it last night and it showed that it was like 5 days of straight rain. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of rain. 8 out of 10 days. Look at this shit. Hold on. Let me go ahead and bring this up. I don't know if you guys can really see that, but rain and thunder and lightning every fucking day. Starting today, which it happened yesterday. It started for us anyways, where I live in northern Alabama.
Spots that see up to 5, 6 inches of rain. And this could all be causing some flash flooding throughout the Carolinas as well as into Georgia throughout the entire weekend as well.
No, I need to call him. Right when I was going live, I saw that what was going on. I will definitely check in with him. That's for damn sure. But I saw it like literally 3 minutes before I went live, and I saw the little clip that he went up there and said that he's, not feeling good. So yeah, I'll definitely check in with him. But thank you for that.
Since the beginning of the work week. On top of this frontal boundary that's going to be stalling, well, it kind of sits there for a while. And as it sits along the Gulf, along the Atlantic, we have all of this warm water just sitting below it. And that's the energy that could potentially create something tropical. So we're keeping a very close eye on that. That won't happen until later on in the week. But in the meantime, intense rain rates are going to be a potential threat for a lot of areas throughout the Carolinas. I mean, already this morning we're seeing a lot of thunder, or hearing a lot of thunder, seeing a lot of lightning. Rain rates are intense. We also do have that severe thunderstorm threat, mostly into South Carolina and into Georgia for today. And we're going to be potentially seeing a lot of lightning.
So South Carolina, Georgia, and she said North Carolina as well. So we've got 3 states that she's named so far.
With these systems too. So just something to keep in mind as you move about, especially if you're going to be on the Atlantic coast, moving into this weekend or have friends and family that are going to be roaming about. So a good idea to stay inside. Not the best beach day for a lot of folks, or a beach weekend really, but it's something we're going to be keeping an eye on because it's not just this weekend where we could potentially see these isolated showers and intense downpours. It could also potentially go into the start of the work week and throughout the work week as well. So I'll send it back to you, but in the meantime, just being extra careful and taking these.
Oh, in Texas, of course, they're hopefully they're not going to get fucked up. Man, hopefully there's no rain for them. Honestly, it seems like Texas can just never withstand rain.
Warnings incredibly seriously because throughout the entire country, we have just been dealing with so many areas dealing with flash flooding, and it can be a really dangerous and scary situation, and it happens fast. So just a good idea to keep those warnings in mind.
For sure, and we're going to keep on top of that here with our Fox Weather team. Bane Frony, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And of course, we did talk about that flooding that took place weeks ago, killing more than 100 people over in the Kerrville, Texas area. I do want to send it over to Asher Red here with Fox News as he breaks down more about the situation there with recovery. Asher, thank you so much for being here.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like he's actually going to be dealing with actual rain over there in Texas and this specific thing. I think he's just talking about still the damages from the last flash flood.
Well, good morning, Josh. Just a few miles upstream from where I'm standing at the Guadalupe River, children at Camp Mystic were clinging to their bunk beds trying to stay alive, but the 3 people who were in charge of saving those children were nowhere to be found, and they were sound asleep in their own beds. Texas lawmakers held a hearing on Thursday about this flood response. Kerr County Emergency Management Coordinator William Thomas said he was out sick and recovering at home. His wife woke him up at 5:30 in the morning on July the 4th, but the flood started over 2 hours earlier. Kerr County Judge Rob Kelly said he was at his lake house 2 hours away near Austin, and he said he woke up at around the same time. And the sheriff here just didn't wake up until 4:20 that morning. All of them said they immediately raced to the scene when...
Of course the sheriff woke up at 4:20.
They woke up.
I want to set the record straight. I'm not pointing a finger, I'm not blaming you. I just want to set the record straight. Everyone was here that day working their ass off, and you were nowhere to be found.
Ooh. The storm struck...
Ooh. Shit.
The whole summer's worth of rain on this region. The Guadalupe River rose nearly 26 feet in just 45 minutes. The flood killed at least 136 people, including 27 campers and counselors at an all-girls Christian camp.
My daughter was not identified until Thursday the 10th, and the only thing that identified her at all was her charm bracelet.
When you see kids on RVs that get washed away, there's nothing you can do about it. No matter...
Man, that's right, Motobomb. Real quick, he says, by the way, I know you guys don't have to like the, what's going on around the world, of course, but you guys can like the video for me and my takes. But so far, we got 31 likes. I appreciate your guys' engagement, by the way. Them likes from Mike. Get the likes up.
How much training you have, no matter what you've done or what you can do. I mean, it was not possible.
And a lot of the cleanup here in Kerrville, Texas is on pause because search crews are still searching miles of riverbanks, searching for the remains of a man and a girl who is still missing from Camp Mystic. Back to you.
All right, Asher Red there with Fox.
See, you're very right about that, Papa Penguin. And what he's pointing out, he says, this is a great example of why I hate government. Everyone is in cover your ass mode. Not a single effort made to ID the root cause of notification failure, why permits were approved or avoiding it again. Absolutely, and that's exactly why I bring up the lack of information is what killed, unfortunately, these people from the last flash floods in all these different states, was a lack of communication and their notification failure, and still them not taking really any type of accountability by figuring that fucking out. There should be like, hey, we're changing this, we're going to make sure our people are notified no matter what. No, they just like brush that shit off like it never fucking happened. Anyways, real quick, we got Gorilla Biscuits up in the building. My man, good to see you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Friday morning so far. Always appreciate you hanging out with us. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our last ordeal for the morning. We're not going to listen to the entire thing, but this was the White House press briefing that happened yesterday. So I haven't heard it yet, but we're not going to listen to the entirety of it. We're going to probably listen to her monologue, and her monologue is usually only actually about 6, 7, 8 minutes, and then she takes questions for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? So anyways, let's go ahead and get into it and hear it.
New Yorkers. As the funeral services are held in New York City today, everyone at the White House is keeping the officers' family, friends, and fellow NYPD law enforcement officers in our thoughts and prayers. The president has always, and will always, proudly stand with our men and women in blue. May God bless Officer Islam and the other individuals who were tragically killed in this senseless act of violence. In other news, President Trump's working visit to Scotland was a huge success. In less than 48 hours, President Trump brokered the biggest, most impactful trade deal in history and prevented a war in Asia for the second time since he took office. We have never had a president who wields the full power of the United States to negotiate good deals for our country and its people like President Trump. This is what maximum leverage looks like. On the peace front, President Trump helped deliver an immediate and unconditional ceasefire between Thailand and Cambodia. The two countries were engaged in a deadly conflict that had displaced more than 300,000 people until President Trump stepped in to put an end to it. The president spoke directly on the phone with the acting Prime Minister of Thailand and the Prime Minister of Cambodia to inform both leaders that unless they brought their conflict to an end, there would be no trade discussions or agreements with the United States. Almost immediately afterward, a peace was brokered that will save thousands of lives and allowed for trade negotiations with these countries to resume, and they have. The president has now ended conflicts between Thailand and Cambodia, Israel and Iran, Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, India and Pakistan, Serbia and Kosovo, and Egypt and Ethiopia. This means President Trump has brokered, on average, about one peace deal or ceasefire per month during his 6 months in office. It's well past time that President Trump was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. I know the topic of Israel is on everyone's mind. I have an update from Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who I got off the phone with this morning. Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee had a very...
So this is probably going to be their talk about them going into Gaza and seeing it for themselves. And I think that's what she's about to say, because this was yesterday, granted.
Productive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and other officials today in Israel on the topic of delivering much-needed food and aid to Gaza. President Trump is a humanitarian with a big heart, and that's why he sent Special Envoy Witkoff to the region in an effort to save lives and end this crisis. Tomorrow, Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee will be traveling into Gaza to inspect the current distribution sites and secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground. The Special Envoy and the Ambassador will brief the President immediately after their visit to approve a final plan for food and aid distribution into the region, and we will provide more details for all of you once that plan is approved and agreed on by the President of the United States. On the trade front, the President secured a historic trade agreement with the European Union that puts America first and fundamentally strengthens the economic relationship between the two largest economies in the world. This deal...
That was $1.35 trillion, $750 billion in our energy, which is like petroleum, oil, stuff like that. Any type of whatever, nuclear, it could be any of that shit. And then $650 billion of economic whatever. It's like insane the amount of money that was brought in. And then there's still a 15% tariff on the EU. So that's a humongous W for America.
Delivers on two of President Trump's core promises on trade, supercharging America's manufacturing capacity and opening up foreign market access to American businesses. The deal guarantees that American businesses will have unprecedented levels of access to the European Union markets to export our American-made goods. Also, as part of this agreement, the EU will purchase $750 billion in U.S. energy to strengthen our energy dominance, reduce European reliance on adversarial sources, and narrow our trade deficit with the EU. The EU will also make new investments of $60 billion in the United States, in addition to the more than $100 billion the EU companies already invest in the U.S. every year. All of these massive purchases and investments will happen by the end of 2028. What we are watching is President Trump rebuilding the greatest economy in the history of the world and simultaneously proving the so-called economic...
Yo, Adriano, you got to stop with the all caps, my man. You got to stop with the all caps. We use all caps for when mods need to get my attention and shit. But I appreciate your comments, but just use lowercase.
Experts wrong at every turn. Media pundits said a trade deal with the EU this monumental and beneficial to America would be impossible, but President Trump made it happen. The so-called economic experts repeatedly said that the American economy would be in a recession this summer. Well, summer is here. It's almost over, and that recession does not exist. Yesterday, in fact, real GDP growth in the second quarter increased at a 3.0% annual rate, significantly above expectations. President Trump's America First policies are driving economic growth, as he always said they would. And this growth is being driven by the private sector, not the government. Federal government spending fell for a second straight quarter, while real business fixed investment rose by nearly 2% following its first quarter surge. President Trump is right-sizing government spending, reversing the damage done by the Biden administration, and allowing the private sector to flourish. The same so-called experts claimed that President Trump's tariffs would spike inflation and hurt American consumers. But consumer spending growth just accelerated, and inflation remains right on track. For the past 5 straight months, core inflation has come in below market expectation and remains in line with the Fed's 2% inflation target. Meanwhile, customs and tariff revenues have already totaled more than $150 billion since President Trump took office, leading to the first June budget surplus.
What's up, Brother Glenn? Hopefully you're enjoying your morning, my man. We're catching the tail end of what's going on. We basically brought ourselves up into current landscape, and then we went back in time with this. This was yesterday. We're just presenting this, getting our beginning of her monologue before she takes questions, because my hour's up. But good to see you, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Friday morning so far.
Nearly a decade. Those revenues will skyrocket even further starting tomorrow when new reciprocal tariff rates take effect.
Those reciprocal tariffs started last night at midnight for context.
President Trump is restoring America's economic sovereignty by reducing our reliance on foreign countries, boosting investment in the U.S. to the tune of trillions of dollars, and creating hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs for the American people. With America finally put first on trade and the largest middle-class tax cuts in history and other pro-growth provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill beginning to take effect, the American economy will boom like never before over the course of the next 3.5 years, thanks to the president's vision. Finally, as you all know, the president signed an executive order earlier this year to solve the problem of exorbitant pharmaceutical pricing. According to recent data, the prices that Americans have been paying for brand name drugs are more than 3 times the price other similarly developed nations pay. The president is determined to solve this problem and took further action today. He has signed 17 letters to pharmaceutical companies' CEOs, and I would like to read you one of these letters to the CEO of Eli Lilly. All of these letters will be provided to you following this briefing. This is to the CEO of Eli Lilly from the President of the United States. On May 12, 2025, I signed an executive order delivering most favored nation prescription drug pricing to American patients to stop global freeloading and guarantee that Americans pay the same prices enjoyed by other developed nations.
That's a fact, dude. It's insane that, like, for instance, the cost of the EpiPen to this day is outrageous. Prices of the EpiPen just went up not that long ago. It's like crazy that you can buy this shit in like the European market or whatever for like $12, and then for us it's like $1,500 or whatever the fuck it is. You know, it's like what? How is that even fair, dude?
Right now, brand name drugs in the United States are up to 3 times higher on average
well,
than anywhere
Frank.
else for the identical medicines. This unacceptable burden on hardworking American families ends with my administration. Most proposals the Trump administration has received to resolve this critical issue promised more of the same, shifting blame and requesting policy changes that would result in billions of dollars in handouts to industry. Moving forward, the only thing I will accept from drug manufacturers is a commitment that provides American families immediate relief from the vastly inflated drug prices and an end to the free ride of American innovation by European and other developed nations. Accordingly, I'm calling on Eli Lilly and Company and every manufacturer doing business in our great country to take the following actions within the next 60 days. Extend the most favored nation pricing to Medicaid, guarantee most favored nation pricing for newly launched drugs, return increased revenues abroad to American patients and taxpayers, provide for direct purchasing at most favored nation pricing. The president's team, including Secretary Kennedy and Administrator Oz, stand ready to implement these terms. The president expects to further engage with them immediately in good faith to deliver relief for American families. Make no mistake, a collaborative effort towards achieving global pricing parity would be the most effective path for companies, the government, and American patients. But if you refuse to step up, we will deploy every tool in our arsenal to protect American families from continued abusive drug pricing practices. Americans are demanding lower drug prices, and they need them today. Other nations have been freeloading on U.S. innovation for far too long, and it is time they pay their fair share. I look forward to your binding commitments to each of these goals by September 29th, 2025, and my team stands ready to assist with implementation questions. Thank you for your immediate attention to this vital national priority. Signed, President Donald J. Trump. Again, to the CEO of Eli Lilly. This letter, in its form, has been designed for each of the 17 major drug and pharmaceutical
That's awesome.
companies in the United States, and we're happy to provide you the full list. And
that is fucking awesome, actually.
I believe you will see all 17 letters popping on Truth Social very shortly, so you can look out for those, and I'm happy to take any further questions. Before we get to questions, I do have one other announcement from the White House and from the President. We are proud to announce that the construction of the new White House ballroom will begin.
Right. It's like a 90,000 square foot fucking ballroom they're about to build. Insane. I did hear about this. I saw it on the White House on their Instagram page. Them announced that. That's pretty wild.
For 150 years, presidents, administrations, and White House staff have longed for a large event space on the White House complex that can hold substantially more guests than currently allowed. President Trump has expressed his commitment to solving this problem on behalf of future administrations and the American people. The White House is one of the most beautiful and historic buildings in the world, yet the White House is currently unable to host major functions.
Real quick, we got Brother Dean Savage over there in Israel. My man, good to see you. Hopefully you're enjoying your afternoon for you, your Friday afternoon. Hopefully you're enjoying. Appreciate you hanging out with us, by the way. Hopefully you're doing good, man. Good to see you on here and hanging out with us.
Honoring world leaders in other countries without having to install a large and unsightly tent approximately 100 yards away from the main building's entrance. The White House State Ballroom will be a much-needed and exquisite addition of approximately 90,000 total square feet of innately designed and carefully crafted space with a seated capacity of 650 people, which is a significant increase from the 200-person seated capacity in the East Room of the White House. In recent weeks, President Trump has held several meetings with members of the White House staff, the National Park Service, the White House Military Office, and the United States Secret Service to discuss design features and planning. President Trump has
90,000 square feet, Papa Penguin.
Chosen McCreary Architects as the lead architect, which is well known for their classical architectural design and based right here in our nation's capital. The construction team will be headed by Clark Construction, and the engineering team will be led by AECOM. The project will begin in September 2025, and it is expected to be completed long before the end of President Trump's term. President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build this approximately $200 million structure. The United States...
So wait, it was funded not by the U.S. taxpayer? For real? What? Let me hear that again.
Before the end of President Trump's term. President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build this approximately $200 million structure. The United States Secret Service will provide the necessary security enhancements and modifications. The White House ballroom will be substantially separated from the main building of the White House, but at the same time, its theme and architectural heritage will be almost identical. The site of the new ballroom will be where the small, heavily changed and reconstructed East Wing currently sits. The East Wing was constructed in 1902 and has been renovated and changed many times, with a second story added in 1942. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles has provided the following statement. President Trump is a builder at heart and has an extraordinary eye for detail. The President and the Trump White House are fully committed to working with the appropriate organizations to preserve the special history of the White House while building a beautiful ballroom that can be enjoyed by future administrations and generations of Americans to come. In the White House, we will continue to provide the American public and all of you in the press with updates on this project at whitehouse.gov/visit. And if you go there shortly, you will be able to see renderings and visuals of what this ballroom will look like, both the exterior and the interior.
And I'm sure they're going to be posting all of that on their Instagram, which actually is where I follow their shit. I follow the White House's Instagram, and that's where I get a lot of the information I do from. That's how I even knew about that, was seeing that on their Instagram page. So real quick, I'm going to see if anyone's live. It doesn't look like anyone is. Damn, there is nobody live this morning. That's crazy. That's unfortunate. Well, if there's no one to raid, there's no one to raid, right? I mean, that's just the way it goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with us this beautiful morning. I always very much appreciate your guys' engagement, hanging out, whether it's you guys hitting that like button, man, either on the way in or the way out. Doesn't matter. At least you did it, you know. And your guys' comments, your guys' donations, man, that's how we get to continue to do this. So I'm very honored by that. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for, if you guys are members, we have our Breakfast Club members only live stream tomorrow. We're probably going to be getting into some fake hair hats and 3 or 4s. You know, we're probably going to get down with our bad selves. So anyway, stick around for that. If you guys don't have memberships, well, we will see you guys Monday morning for more of the World's Madness, because I do take Sunday off. That's my one day that I keep to myself. You know what I mean? So anyways, with that being said, much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Much love.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit.